Video I'm gonna make. You guys know that my channel pretty much blew up because I played Rainbow Six Siege all the time. Uh, well, I'm gonna show you what classes, what guns I suggest using for each operator. So once we load in here, I can start the actual video. Now, I played a little bit of Velvet Shell, and I love it. It's one of my favorite DLCs so far. The new operators are my favorite. Probably Mira. I think I like Mira better than Jackal. But anyway, here we go. So for Sledge, I like to use the L85A2. It's a great machine gun. I like to pop the holographic sight, the compensator, and the vertical foregrip. Super accurate. A little bit of recoil, not much. It's enough to handle. And I like to use the P226. I always put the muzzle brake on the pistol if you can. And I use frag grenades as is throwable. Next we have Thatcher. I like to use the AR-33. Super accurate. I like to put the ACOG on this one. Compensator and again vertical foregrip. P226 and breaching charges. Ash. I like to use the R4C. It's literally exactly the same to like the G36, but it has more damage and a slightly slower fire rate, which I think makes it more accurate. So I like to put the ACOG on there, flash hider, and vertical foregrip. I like to use the M45 or the M1911, as it is known in real life, and I like to use smoke grenades to hide my grenade launcher shots. Thermite. I like to use the 5.56 X1 or XI. Super good rifle. Probably one of the most balanced rifles in the game. I like to put the reflex sight, the triangular sight, compensator, and vertical foregrip. A pattern you're gonna see with me. If I can put a vertical foregrip on it, I'm gonna put the foregrip on it. Like there's no reason not to. And for the handgun, I like to use the USG. Super solid. A lot less damage than the M1911, but much bigger mag cap. And I like to use the claymores for thermite. Now for Twitch, I like to use the F2. F2 are one of the fastest firing machine guns in the attacking class, the attacking team. Super accurate, pretty much laser point. I like to put the red dot, compensator, vertical grip on that. Use the P9. I only use the revolver for heavy hitting. For heavy hitting operators, and I like to use the breaching charge as well. It's great for getting your Twitch drone through walls that you can't. That you like, if you can't find doorways or ventilation shafts, it's easier just to blow a hole through a wall. Matang. I like to use a revolver. I wouldn't suggest doing this for any other gun, but put the laser sight on any of the shield operators' guns. And also put the laser sight on one of the gun defenders. I will get to that shortly. And I like to use stun grenades. So next is Glaz. So he only has one primary. So I like to use the reflex sight. I think this sight is the most accurate sight for the Russian, from all of the Spetsnaz sights. And put the muzzle brake on there because it reduces recoil single shot firing, and that's all you're going to be doing with this gun. The PMM, Has way more damage than the GSH-18. I like to use this to finish off enemies that I can't quite kill with the OTS. And then I like to use smoke grenades to cover my position when I'm running through hallways. Now fuse. Fuse, I used to use the AK-12 a lot. You can go either way with this one. I used to use the red dot, muzzle brake, and vertical grip. But now I almost always use the 6P41. I like to use the red dot, flash hider, and vertical foregrip. Really fast firing, heavy hitting, light machine gun. Super slow reload, but most of the time you're not going to need to reload with this thing. And then the GSH-18 is a good weapon to use when you're out of ammo and your big gun. You just need to finish off an enemy. I like to use breaching charges. Next is Blitz. So he only has one pistol. Of course, it's the P12. So just put the muzzle brake and the laser sight on that. There's really no reason not to put a muzzle brake on any pistol. It does no negative effects. It reduces perfect for a shield operator. And the laser sight is perfect for hip firing, which you're gonna mostly be doing. And I like to use the breach and charge as his gadget. IQ is another one. I hardly ever use the commando, but I did used to use her light machine gun a lot. It was alright. As I got more familiar with the game, I kind of realized how much recoil this thing has. So I like to use the AUG. Iconic, very iconic weapon. If you guys are fans of The Walking Dead, it's the weapon that the governor uses in the TV show. I'm pretty sure I have the same color scheme as he had too. I like to use a red dot compensator. P12 obviously, it's the only handgun, and breaching charges. Now Buck. With Buck you can go either way. I use the C8 most of the time, but you're also good at using the cameras. I'd recommend the ACOG sight. Go load in. Yeah, the ACOG sight and the muzzle brake, because it's a marksman rifle, it's a single shot rifle. But for the for the C8, I would use the reflex sight and the compensator. He only has the MK1 as his secondary. And I would use frags, because what I like to do is I like to use the underbarrel shotgun, blow a hole through a wall, chuck a couple grenades in there, and most of the time if there's an enemy in there, you're gonna get a couple kills. Next is Blackbeard. Use the Scar H. Do not use the SR25. Always, always, always use the Scar H. It's much more versatile. You're gonna get much more kills using this thing. Super powerful, decent rate of fire, great mobility. I like to use the holographic sight, flash hider, vertical foregrip. Desert Eagle is the only pistol you can have, and breach and charges. Now for Capital, I like to use the Para 308. Super accurate gun. It just feels smooth whenever I use it. I don't know why. Maybe it's because the red dot sight is like so far down to like the rear and front sights. It just feels super accurate to me, and I can't quite get my finger on why. But I like to use the flash hider and the vertical foregrip. PRB 92 is the only other sidearm he can use, and I like to use claymores with Capital. Hibana. I like to use the Type 89. I don't really like using shotguns with attacking classes. But for this Type 89, I would use the ACOG, flash hider, and vertical foregrip. Super accurate gun, nice rate of fire. I like to use the P229 and the Claymore. Next is Jackal. I haven't played Jackal much, but from what I can tell, most all of his guns are pretty good feeling. I like to use the C7E. It's his assault rifle. I like to put the ACOG because as Jackal, you're supposed to track the enemy footprints and see enemies from far away. So you need a sight that you can use to shoot them from far away. I like to put the compensator on and the vertical foregrip. USP-40, pretty good weapon. Not as much damage as the shotgun, but pretty decent capacity. Again, I like to use this to finish off enemies that I've downed. I like to use the breach and charge. Alright, now we're moving on to the defenders. So let's start with smoke. I like to use the M590A1. Great pump action. I like to use the triangular reflex sight and the laser sight. If you have a shotgun in the game, put a reflex sight on it, and put the laser sight on it. You're just gonna find that it feels better when you use these in conjunction with each other. The SMG-11, this is great in case you're out of shells with your shotgun, you just need a fast-firing pocket sniper rifle. And the impact grenades. I like to use the impact grenades to blow up holes in walls and then throw my gas canisters through. That's also what the shotgun's great for, just popping murder holes. Now mute. I like to use the MP5K. Decent rate of fire. Okay damage. Pretty good capacity. I like to use the reflex sight and the compensator. P226 and the nitro cell. Now castle. I like to use the M1014 semi-automatic shotgun, reflex sight, underbarrel laser, and I like to use the M1911 and impact grenades. For pulse, oh my god, you're gonna love pulse. UMP-45. This gun has no recoil if you use it right, and you have the right attachments. Reflex sight, compensator, vertical foregrip. I've tested it. There is zero recoil on this thing. Like little to no recoil. It's kind of weird actually, but I'm not complaining. I like to use the USG, and nitro cell. Doc. I like to use the MP5. Pretty solid submachine gun, pretty decent. I like to put the reflex sight, flash hider, and vertical foregrip. If you'll ever load it. There we go. So foregrip, flash hider, reflex. Oh. For a secondary, I like to use the P9 and barbed wire. Rook. I like to use the P90. Pretty accurate, pretty decent. Great for getting kills at long range. Headshot machine. I like to put the flash hider and the red dot sight. Secondary, I like to use the revolver. Super heavy hitting. It just feels great in the hands if you're using it right. I like to use the deployable shield. Capcan. Capcan, I like to use the 9x19 VSN. The VSN is pretty accurate. Reflex sight is one of the most accurate Spetsnaz sights in the game. I like to put the flash hider on and the vertical foregrip. For a secondary, I like to use the GSH-18 barbed wire. The Lord himself. I like to use his SAS G12 shotgun. It's another semi-auto shotgun, but this time you can add a foregrip to it. So I have to use the red dot sight, the vertical foregrip, and the laser sight. Secondary, I like to use the PMM and the deployable shield to protect yourself when you're using the turret. Now Jaeger. Always use the 416C carbine. It's the only assault rifle you can get for the defensive team. Put the ACOG on that. Vertical foregrip, a flash hider. Super accurate at long range. P12 is the secondary. And I have to use the deployable shield. Now Bandit. I like to use the M870. It's another pump action shotgun in the game. Feels really good. This one and smoke shotgun are probably my favorite shotguns in the game. So put the reflex sight on that and the laser pointer. Again, P12 and barbed wire. So Frost. Frost, I like to use the Super 90. Really powerful, pretty decent range on this thing. I like to put the reflex sight and the laser pointer. MK1 9mm. And barbed wire. Barbed wire is really good for hiding your frost traps. People tend to use the deployable shields to hide them, but I think so many people have gotten used to that trick and now they're just checking each and every time. So I find the barbed wire is just easier to hide. Next is Valkyrie. So I like to use the Spaz 12, super iconic shotgun. In almost any first-person shooter, you're gonna have some kind of iteration of the Spaz 12. Again, this one feels really smooth because the red dot is so low on the actual shotgun itself. Now I have to use the laser pointer, deagle, and nitro cell, because you can get some really good kills using your cameras in the nitro cell. Next is Caveira. Now, Caveira is one of the only operators I would suggest putting a suppressor on your primary for. When you think Caveira, you think stealth, so how are you gonna be stealthy and be silent? Put a silencer on your weapon. It also increases the chance of getting your enemy in the down but not out state, which is perfect since your other ability allows you to interrogate enemies. I like to put the reflex sight on this. And the Illusion pistol has an integrated suppressor on it, so you cannot take it off. But I like to put the laser pointer on this, because most of the time when you're doing your silent step, when you see an enemy, you might not have time to aim down, so you just need to get as many shots off as you can and take them down. Now I like to use the impact grenades, because again, it's another really fun way to get enemies in the down but not out state. Now Echo. I like to use the Supernova shotgun. I believe it's one of the heavier hitting shotguns in the game. I like to put the reflex sight and the laser pointer, obviously. Hopefully, there we go. I like to use the Bearing 9. Much like the SMG-11, just a pocket sniper rifle. Good if you run out of shells for your shotgun. I like to use barbed wire. I find it's a really good place to hide your drone in when you don't have like a place to hide it on like a ceiling if the ceiling's too high. So if you just want to leave it on the ground, put in barbed wire. Also, your deployable shield. Your drone cannot jump over deployable shields. And Mira. Mira is probably one of my favorite defensive operators already. Use the Vector. Don't use the shotgun. Always, always, always use the Vector. Again, it's iconic. It's in Black Ops 2. It's I believe it's in one of the Modern Warfare games. I believe 3. I like to put the holographic sight, compensator, and vertical foregrip. And for the secondary, I like to use the ITA 12S. I like to put the reflex sight on that and the laser pointer. And for gadget, I like to use the nitro cell because it's really satisfying when you see an enemy on the other side. You mister from underneath it. The window falls down. You just toss the nitro through and get the kill. And that was my loadout suggestions. I'll be uploading another video shortly, but until then, have a good one.